Hello Internet, welcome to my kitchen, my actual kitchen. This is a very strange video to be putting on a let's play of a video game, but we're going to be cooking from a video game cookbook, the Horizon, it's the official Horizon Cookbook, Taste of the Seven Tribes. We're going to be cooking a couple of recipes out of this book, but first I want to talk a little bit about the book itself. Okay, let's take a look inside the book itself. So it is actually really well made, even when you're judging it just as a cookbook by just regular cookbook standards. I'll push some of this stuff back. So it's got they call it the Seven Tribes because they've split up the, get that in frame, the different tribes, including the different Tanakh clans. So, and it's got recipes for tribes that didn't appear in Forbidden West, like it's got the Nora, the Banuk, and the Karja. The Karja didn't really appear in Forbidden West. Then we start out with a section about the different ingredients that are going to be used in the cookbook. If you live near an H Mart or farmer's market or other well-stocked international store, you probably won't have too much of a hard time finding some of these things. And it also will have in here some substitutions where it's substitutable. But one of the most interesting ingredients I saw was wild boar. Like, I appreciate the commitment to the actual game. That's pretty interesting. I don't know where you would get wild boar. Like, I live in Georgia, but not in the has problems with wild hogs part. And throughout the book, you can see there's all sorts of concept art. It's just kind of a nice looking book. So the pages will flip for me. So there's actually a little story in this book. So each recipe in each section has like this little narrative. So this is supposed to be from Milnuf's, I think his name, his perspective. He's the first chef we meet in Chain Scrape, and you remember he gave us that quest to go get like the stuff to repair his stove and stuff, and he gave us free stew. So he's journeying through the Forbidden West, and then he eventually meets up with that lady from Saltbite, and they wander around, and then they wander around the Karja and the Nora areas. It's pretty cute. Each recipe, which I appreciate, has a color photograph of each recipe with all kinds of appropriate, I guess, dishware and decorations and stuff. And it's pretty cute. The levels on the weapons and the outfits are replicated here to indicate the difficulty of the recipe, with 5 being most difficult and 1 being the least. And it gives you notes here on certain things, like it's vegetarian or dairy free or things of that nature. It's pretty inclusive. It's got all kinds of things that are dairy free, vegan, gluten free, and all sorts of stuff. And many of these recipes are for like 3 or 4 people. There's a few entertainment recipes if you can rustle up enough people to eat novelty video game food. And there's a pretty good variety of stuff. Each tribe's section has at least 1 main dish. This is like a starter type dish. They've got desserts, some kind of bread, beverages of various kinds, from smoothies to cocktails, all kinds of cool stuff in here. So we'll flip through, and then towards the back we have a section on potions, and these are all different kinds of drinks. Again, some of them are alcoholic, some of them are not. Some of them will include recipes for other things that you can have in other recipes. Like one of the potions has a recipe for elderberry syrup, which isn't that one, that you can use for some of the other things in the cookbook. The one thing that I'm not liking in the cookbook is that most cookbooks have a section at the back that's an index of ingredients, so you can find other recipes if you have leftover ingredients. This one doesn't have it. It does have at the back a conversion chart for US measurements to metric measurements. All the recipes are written in US measurements. So that's pretty nice. So you don't have to go Google it. And then also at the back, it's got some notes if you want to make your recipes vegetarian or gluten-free and so on and so forth. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on one of the recipes. Okay, first we're gonna get started on making blood bread. I picked this because it looked the most interesting. It's pizza. When I showed this off in the game, it basically showed it as pizza. This does require at least a day because you have to let the dough rise overnight, or at least 24 hours, it says. So we're going to go ahead and make the dough, and then I will come back tomorrow and make the rest of this recipe. So let's get started on making the dough. Okay, I'm starting to combine the dry ingredients in my bowl for my stand mixer. It does say to use a stand mixer in this recipe. I'm assuming that if you don't have one, you could probably need it. But I'm lazy, and God gave us stand mixers for a reason, so I'm going to use mine. And here I've already got my bread flour, and I'm adding my yeast. This also calls for an ingredient I've never used before, vital wheat gluten. So we're going to add that in there. Got 1 tablespoon of that. Oh, that's interesting. Get in there. And then we add in some sugar for our yeast to munch on while it's rising. When you're making bread, you don't really need that much sugar in there. Just a little handful, unless you're making like a really, really sweet bread, because it actually can, I learned this from watching Bake Off. You can actually mess up the rise of the yeast if you give it too much sugar. It messes it, they eat too much or something like that, and they don't do what they're supposed to be doing. I don't know. Teaspoon of kosher salt. So I had to open up a new box for that. Let's see if I can pour without getting it everywhere. Whoopsie. Okay. And then this also requires a garlic and onion powder, that's exciting to flavor the crust of our little blood bread pizzas before we actually start cooking it. So this is the garlic powder, and it's 1.5 teaspoons. So let me grab my 1/2 teaspoon. Let's see, we got. A smart person would have measured this all out before, but whatever, it's fine. Smells good. I mean, you can't have too much garlic, I don't believe. And then 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. All right, that is it for the dries. So let me get some of this stuff out of the way because it's gonna drive me nuts. So for the wets, you got water. You do need, of course, water to activate the yeast. And for the yeast I'm just using just one of these packet yeasts. It doesn't, I'm sure if you have sourdough starter, you could probably do it. My sourdough starter is dead, so I did. Again, God gave us convenience items. Let's use them. And then it calls for a couple tablespoons of olive oil. I'm just using whatever olive oil I have. It didn't specify if you needed to use extra virgin or whatnot. And I've never done this method before where it asks you to combine the wet and then pour it into the dry. When I've made breads before, I like doing the no knead kind, again, because I'm lazy. And so I end up just throwing all the ingredients in the bowl and swooping it together and calling it a day. All right, let's go ahead and put the bowl back in the mixer, and then we'll pour this in and get started on kneading it. So let's pour. All right, I'm gonna clear some of the stuff out of the way, and then we'll start kneading. All right, so now I've got the mixer on low with the dough hook attachment until the ingredients are getting mixed together. And once they are combined well, we'll start the actual kneading process. So we're waiting on it to form a ball. Let me take the phone out of its little holder thing so I can show you on what it looks like. Whoops. So you see it's coming together, starting to. And then, I'm not a filmographer, y'all. I play video games. I don't do this video crap. So we'll wait a couple minutes. It shouldn't take too much longer for this to start. When it forms a ball, we can start the actual kneading process. Okay, now it's in a ball, so we're gonna start kneading. So it does say to kick it up to a slightly higher speed. Yeah, it says increase the speed to medium and knead for 5 minutes. All right, so I'm assuming that's medium. My KitchenAid, bless her, is a refurb. So she's gonna on me. So let me set the timer. 5 minutes, and then I'll see you on once this is done. Oh, this is mad. Okay, we're almost done with the kneading process. I'm holding the KitchenAid down because it keeps walking all over the counter, and it tripped my GFCI outlet. So we'll see. This done. Let's turn it off and then do a test of the dough to see if it's kneaded well. Okay, your dough, if it's good, should stretch some, which it's breaking apart. I'm going to just trust the process on this one. Now, no internet, I have not made a test recipe of this to see if this actually works. But I don't know. Anyway, so it is done. Yes, that's for knead for 5 minutes. We're just going to trust the process. And it's very, very sticky. Okay, this part's stretching. It stretches a pretty good bit before it breaks apart. So, okay, this might have worked out well. All right, so we're going to, I'm going to turn the video off while I get the bowl out and put the KitchenAid away, and then we'll be back in a minute to do the next step. Okay, so on the next step, we shape our ball of dough. Where's the camera? There we are. Into an actual ball instead of an amorphous blob like it is in the bowl right now. So I have some, as you can see, some flour on my countertop. There's probably a lot of flour, but it's fine. This is an extremely sticky dough. So I'm just kind of cover the monster with a little bit of flour. And my hands as well. Also makes cleanup of your hands easier if you put a lot of flour on them, because you can just rub the bits off. So now we smooth it into a ball. So I'm just going to stretch and fold it until I get an actual somewhat of a ball shape. I'm not terribly good at this part of baking, and then too, you don't want to muck with it too much because then you'll over knead it and it'll be tough, and it's not wanting to stay in the ball. I'll tuck. There we go, tuck. She is tucked. Okay, we're gonna set her back down, and then I have a bowl for her to live in overnight. So you can put oil, or I'm just gonna use some spray. There There she's nicely sprayed. And then, good night, dough. I'm gonna wrap it with some plastic wrap. Does it say do it tightly? No. I don't want to do it too tightly because the yeast do need oxygen to live and we want them to live. As I fight with them. Alright, let's try this again. It's gonna just has to cover this one little bit of bowl left. Okay. Alright, so this is gonna go into the refrigerator until roughly this time tomorrow. It says at least 24 hours up to 48. So we're gonna give it, yeah, probably 24, maybe a little bit more. And then I'm gonna clean up and we're gonna start on our second recipe. Okay, we're gonna be making the second recipe that I'm wanting to make out of the book. We're gonna be making a cocktail. It's called the Off Duty. I picked it because it's cute and pink. So first, in my little cocktail making kit thing, I'm gonna muddle some mint. Now, I've never really made cocktails before. I usually get them, and then I'm more of like a beer person. So this is gonna be a new, exciting adventure for me. If I can get the damn mint open. Why, hello, mint. Okay, it says a sprig. I don't know technically what a sprig is when it comes to measurements. I probably should look that up, but okay. That looks like enough. Smells good. I like mint. It's one of those things I wish I'd grown some this year because then I could have just had it. Anyway, I'm going to muddle. This is kind of decently relieving of your stress. Oh, it's getting pulverized in there. Okay, that smells pretty good and minty. And then it says add ice, prickly pear, cactus water, simple syrup, lime juice, and the tequila. Okay, so we're gonna add, I got some tongs in this little cocktail making kit I bought at Home Goods, so I'm gonna use them. Just gonna add a couple of things of ice. Okay, and then it says 4 ounces of prickly pear cactus water. This is one I had to order off the internet because I couldn't find anywhere they carried it. Here, let me look at the side of the glass. There, or it won't open. There we go. Now I'm hoping this turns out pink and cute like the picture does. So we got, oh, it is pink. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. Okay. And then 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. Now, I know that's something that easy to make yourself. 1 part water to 1 part sugar. I'm lazy. This is pre-made. I know it's got extra shit in it that's probably cancerous or some nonsense like that, but so is tequila. All right, let's flip the little jigger thing over. I forgot to take the label out. It would help if I take the little thing off. You're standing in the way of meat and alcohol. All right. Here we go. Next is lime juice. Again, I'm lazy. This will work perfectly fine for putting alcohol in it, I'm pretty sure. Don't judge me. Yes, I know that you can get real juice from real limes, but it's fine. So, an ounce of that. Whoops. Okay. And then two ounces of tequila. Now I got, this should be in the little airplane bottle, about 2 ounces, I think. We'll find out. I got 2 airplane bottles just in case. I didn't feel like buying a whole ass bottle of tequila just in case I didn't like it. I'm not really, like I said, not a cocktail person or a spirits person, and the damn thing won't open. Oh. Grippy shelf cover stuff, about like $4 for a big ass roll of it. All right, so 2 ounces of tequila. And yes, this is the cheapo Jimmy Buffett brand. It's fine. And I spilled some tequila on my counter. It's fine. Okay, so that's all together. And then we cover and shake for 10 seconds. Let's see if I can cover and shake this without it getting all over my kitchen. So, and a big chunk of ice fell off my house. So while I'm filming this, it snowed yesterday and there's ice all over my house. All right, that's another shake or two. I don't trust this seal on this. Oh, no, because it's not seated all the way around. It was like a $10, $15 kit at Home Goods. But yeah, it's cute and pink at the very least. Okay, so I don't own cocktail glasses, so I'm going to drink my drink out of the cute pink Relacma glass. It's my house, it's my video. I can do what I want. I'm going to add a couple more cubes of ice. Here, screw it. And then we take the thing off. This strains itself, apparently. So let's see if I can get this in the glass without... Let me move the cookbook out of the way before I spill over the cookbook. All right, here we go. Pouring. As it leaks everywhere. Jesus H. Christ. It's not leaking. Okay, and then you add some club soda to it. As I shake the tequila mess off of my hands. So club soda. Now the recipe makes 2 drinks, and I think I poured more than half of the stuff in my glass. So I might get a little slosh later. Yay! It's fine, it's my house. Let's add a little bit more. All right, so here's the end result. It is a cute pink drink. Let's see how she tastes. Bottoms up. That's dangerous, internet. It's really good. I'm glad it's at my house so I could just drink the whole damn thing and lay on the floor. Anyway, we'll continue tomorrow with the rest of the blood bread. See y'all in a minute. Hello again, internet. It is now the second day, and I have the dough from yesterday. I did not trust the process entirely. because when I checked it this morning while I was getting breakfast, it hadn't moved at all. So I took it out of the refrigerator around lunchtime, so it had been in the fridge maybe 14 hours or so, 14 to 16 hours, and it's been sitting on my countertop most of the afternoon, and that's when it finally started to rise a bit. So the next step is we got to take it out of the bowl, knock it down, and make 3 balls. Take off my watch because it's going to get dirty. Okay, I've repositioned the camera slightly, so y'all might be able to actually see. Let's take the fly monster out. It came out pretty easy. I have elected to just put parchment down for easy cleanup. So I have a little bit of flour on this parchment, and just kind of read. This step in bread making is about redistributing the air bubbles that the yeasts have made. I'm just kind of work the bread a little bit. Oh, she's stretchy. Okay. Take that out. All right. So I have kind of a bread log. So I can take my little scraper thing and divide it into 3. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Squish 1. Squish 2. Okay, now I have 3 sections. And they're about yay big. So I'm going to do this over the counter because knowing me, if I did it in front of the camera, I'd drop it. Just kind of squish, place, squish, 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 gently squish, and kind of getting it into a ball shape. And place back on the parchment. And repeat with number 3. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so these guys have to hang out and rest for another 30 minutes with a towel over them, which I have right here. Let's send the towel gently over. While we're waiting on that to rest, I'm going to go ahead and get started on prepping the rest of the topping ingredients. So let me get a second to move these out of the way and get the initial prep step done, and I will be back one moment. Okay, so now we're on prepping the toppings. I've got some ingredients prepped behind me. So this is the jackfruit. And you use a can of jackfruit and water, and they tell you to drain it and rinse and let it sit there and drain for 10 minutes, which is what I just did. And then we will toss it in a bowl of various spices to coat. So we got in my little bowl here some brown sugar, chili powder, paprika, ginger, salt and pepper, and I think that's it. So let's go ahead and toss. These are kind of big pieces. I don't know if I should chop them up, or I'll just leave them as they are, I think. They're in the bowl. Let me get the colander out of the way. Take my watch back off. And we're happily move out the way so y'all can see. Tossing to coat, tossing to coat, tossing to coat. Getting all the spice mix on my jackfruit. And it's kind of coating. Okay. I think that's fairly well coated. I'm gonna rinse my hands real quick and we're gonna turn the stove on. Alright, so we'll heat some oil on a medium-high heat. And then we will saute our jackfruits for a few minutes. And it's making it's turning smoke. I'll just turn the camera off until we're done sauteing. Okay, I moved the camera a little bit closer to the action, so we got the jackfruit sauteing on the stove. It's been about 5 minutes. I got another 30 seconds or so to go. And then when the timer goes off, I'll be adding a 3/4 cup measurement of vegetable broth to the mixture, and then it will simmer for a little bit. So, let's give it another stir. So, jackfruit is apparently a vegan substitute for meat. I had never really heard of, there's the timer, jackfruit up until this recipe. So we're going to go ahead and add the make scary noises. Alright, so yeah, we're going to turn down the heat a little bit. Make sure, go down. Everybody is covered. Yeah, this lid's not for this pan. It's okay, it still fits. And I'm gonna set my timer for 15 minutes. But as I was saying, I've never really heard of jackfruit up until I had gotten the cookbook. And then just the other day I noticed at Publix over in the vegetable section where they have like the tofu and stuff, barbecue jackfruit sitting right there. But I'm gonna make it from scratch like the recipe says. While I'm waiting on that to do, I have some other ingredients to prep, so I will see y'all when this is ready to go to the next step. Okay, I'm gonna start sauteing the other two toppings. So we do have some diced red onion, about 1/4 of the red onion to do. I'm waiting on this oil to heat up, and I'm gonna go ahead and preheat the oven to 475. Because my watch is telling me the little dough balls are almost done doing their thing. Come on. Poke, 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 poke. In my oven, the little control board, something's going bad in it. It never has the correct time on it. I just don't bother these days. All right, yeah, that's starting to feel pretty warm, so let's go ahead and get the red onion going. So this will saute for a few minutes until it is soft. What does it say? It says to do it for about 5 minutes. Now, our other ingredient is probably the most controversial pizza topping, pineapple. It says to get the sliced. I got the tidbits because I like more topping per capita on my pizza. I'm gonna go ahead and drain these while this is doing, because these will also be sauteed in the frying pan. Okay, now I've got the pineapples sauteing, and just forewarning, you're doing it at home, spectacular amount of popping. I had to like stand way back when I added them. Anyway, those will also saute for about 5 minutes, which we're in luck. We don't have about 5 minutes left on the jackfruit before I add in the barbecue sauce. Okay, now I've got the onion and the pineapple sauteed. On my jackfruits, it looks like most of the broth is evaporated. Let me just get that off. I've got to clean my kitchen again. Hops everywhere. Can't give them a little stir around. It does look kind of like barbecue pork. It says in the book it's supposed to taste like pork. So we'll see. All right. So at this stage, we add in about 1/2 cup of barbecue sauce, which I have measured out here. throw that in the sink real quick. Okay, and then I'm using this kind of barbecue sauce because it's the only kind I could find that didn't have high fructose corn syrup as the very first ingredient. There are other ones out there that didn't have it, but they were like $8 a bottle, and I'm like, eh. So we're just gonna mix that in, and then we continue cooking it for a few minutes until the sauce is warm through. Go on. Go. Nice and spin around. Okay, I've got my oven preheating still. I don't know how much longer it's got on the preheat cycle. What else? It's barbecue. Toss to cook. Alright, so this says cook it for about 3 minutes. Alright, while that's doing, I'm gonna go ahead and start making the first pizza dough crust. Alright, so I've gotten out the thing where I'm gonna cook the pizza in, which is cast iron skillet. So it says to take your little dough ball, which let me change the angle of the camera real quick so y'all can see that bit of the action a little bit better. Ooh, gonna move the tripod around a little. Okay, so we're gonna just turn off the heat on that. That can just sit there for a moment. It says to pound the dough. So pound and stretch until it's a little bit bigger than your cast iron skillet. So I hope I have enough dough to do this. So I'm just gonna kind of stretch. I don't know about if I'm pounding or not. I can see bubbles in my dough. This will be a very thin crust, I do believe. I don't know. I think these will be as big as they'll be what they'll be. Because I don't think the dough originally rose quite enough. So these may not be a round shape. They may be more of a rustic shape. Flip them over. Working a little bit this way. I don't know if flipping over does anything. It just makes me feel better. All right, good. The timer finally went off on the preheat, so we are ready to go as soon as I get one started. Well, it's starting to be more of a pizza-y shape. So this one is getting close to tearing, so hold on. There. Oh, no, we have a tear. We have a tear. Starting over. I'm going to start doing it like this because sometimes its own weight can help stretch it. I essentially just crumpled it back in a ball, and I'm starting again because some bits of it were too thin. Yeah, we're going to get another hole there. Because we added that vital gluten stuff. On my hand to it, so it should have plenty of gluten in it for stretching. It definitely does the window pane test. I see a window pane in it. It's just probably not going to stretch as big as intended, which is fine. My assumption based on the recipe quantities, because these make 3 pizzas that are roughly the size of a cast iron pan, so 3 11-inch or so pizzas, which is what somewhere like a small, like you would get at Domino's or Pizza Hut or something like that. So one of these will probably be for dinner for 2 people, I would think. All right, I'm not having the best time. Anyway, we're yeah, kind of smooch some of that stuff over there. So, oh no, it's sticking to the parchment. Okay, so we're gonna call this one. They'll just be personal pan pizzas. All right, so I think we are ready to, I guess, start assembly. So I'm going to spray my pan a little bit. Okay, and then key ingredient, cornmeal. Put some cornmeal at the bottom. Gotta open it because I just bought this brand new. And this will help prevent it from sticking to the actual cast iron pan itself. So I got just a handful. Scoot, scoot, scoot. And kind of put some more in there. Now, with the size of my pizza, I'm gonna just have to stretch it slightly more. I might stretch in the journey over to the cast iron pan. All right. Don't tear. Oh, it's rustic. It's fine. All right, let's move the camera over this way so we can be a little closer to this action for the assembly piece. So, we got some pizza sauce. Just gonna get a spoon to actually put it on there. Of course, with the flour in my hand, I can't open the thing. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna have to make more pizza. This is definitely not gonna use all the sauce. I think my pizza is gonna end up being more topping than crust, but that's okay. All right, so just some sort of amount of sauce on there. As I drop the lid. Set that there out of the way. And then let's start putting our toppings on. So I've got my onion. Let's put a third or so of the onion I had prepped. Just kind of spread it evenly on there. My hands are oily. Pineapple. Again, just a third, because this makes 3. We'll just do a third, and that's still hot, that's still hot, that's still hot, that's still hot. Okay. It's also oily. And then I'm gonna get a spoon for the jackfruit, because that's just sitting in the hot pan. So let's kind of divide this up into 3s and kind of place it on here. My toppings may be a little too heavy for the pizza. We'll find out momentarily. Okay. Okay, now we put the toppings on. It's time for the cheese. 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 A little bit more cheese. Okay. So next bit is we cook it on the stove for a little while. I'll turn it on medium-ish and let the bottom cook for a few minutes. All right, so it's cooking and it says to cook it about 5 minutes or until the crust starts browning at the bottom, which it's starting to. So this part's actually working. Running around. Yeah, I love my big spatula, by the way. Home goods. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn my timer off because that's pretty good. And then it's gonna go in the oven for 10 to 12 minutes or until the cheese is nice and melted and browned. So let me grab my heat protection. Because it is cast iron, it is gonna be hot AF. I'm gonna turn this off so it can cool down a moment while I put this in the oven. And then I already got out a cook sheet with some parchment to put the dumplings on. So, all right, I'll set the timer for 10 minutes because this is smaller than expected. So I'm assuming it will take 10 minutes, maybe. Turn the light on so I can keep an eye on it. And then while that is doing, I'm gonna go ahead and start making the second ones. And probably what I'll do is I'll go ahead and make everything, and then I'll just take this one out and show you what it looks like, and then we'll make the rest, and then I'll eat one. Okay, we're about halfway through the cooking process. I've been doing the thing where I'm sitting on the floor watching it. It doesn't help, but it makes me feel better. The cheese is melting, and it looks like the crust is browning as expected. Okay, the timer's about to go off. I'm actually going to take it out a little bit early. I guess due to the size, it's cooking in about 9.5 minutes rather than 10 to 12, which not a huge difference, but I don't want it to burn. So I'm going to go ahead and take her out. Okay. All right, then that there, and get on the hook. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the pizza out of the pan. I guess we should call it by its real name, blood bread. And there we are. There's the finished product. I'm gonna let the pan cool off a little bit before I do the second one, but we'll go ahead and take my phone out and show you what the finished one looks like. How do I flip the camera? It's not letting me flip the camera. Well, we'll just do this. That's what it looks like. This is what the finished product looks like. Okay, and then we're gonna let that cool a minute, and I will lather, rinse, repeat for the final two, and then we'll do a taste test. Okay, I just pulled the third one out of the oven. Here are my finished products. As you can see, number 2 and number 3 are a bit bigger than the first one. I think having them sit next to the oven with the heat helped them get a little bit more rise after I split them in the balls. Into balls. Stop that dirty mind thinking. So now let's go ahead and do a taste test. Handy pizza cutter. It's crunchy. It's very crunchy. Cut. Okay, and then let's cut. All right, so, oops. So yeah, give y'all a close up of what the innards look like. Probably, I think something went wrong with the rise on the crust initially, but that part doesn't matter how it looks, it matters how it tastes. Mm-hmm. Mm. This is actually really, really good. The flavors work really, really well together. I got the nice barbecue from the barbecue jackfruit coming through. And then a little bit of the onion there. I don't think I have any pineapple on this particular slice. Yeah, this turned out really, really good. Wow, what? That's really good. Like, you can't even tell that this doesn't have meat in it. The barbecue taste is really, really good. So, I got beer to go with it. It's really, really good too. Andy Gator from Abita Brewery from Louisiana. Nice craft beer. A final verdict of the book is that I think it's worthwhile buying if you're interested in cooking and Forbidden West. I think it's both of the recipes I tried ended up really, really good. For the blood bread thing, I do recommend, instead of leaving it in the fridge, I recommend taking it out and letting the dough sit there for a little while. Or probably another thing I probably did wrong was you might want to activate the yeast with warm water. It doesn't specify a temperature on the water when you are making the dough initially. It may be a good idea to use not cold tap water, but slightly warmer, lukewarm water to activate the yeast to get it going a little bit before you put it in the refrigerator, because it just stalled on me when I put it in overnight. And another thing I recommend is cutting up the jackfruit. The pieces are a little bit too big for one biteful. I probably will do that next time. I probably will make this again. This is really good. And then I'm actually kind of glad the pizzas came out in this size, because then I can just put them in like a gallon bag to freeze them. And they're a good size to reheat in the air fryer at this size. I think if the dough came out correct, it probably would be more of this big, like, actual skillet size pizza for maybe 2 or 3 people to eat on each one. Actually, this works out. I'm not displeased with this. This is like a good personal pan dinner size for what the blood bread ended up being. Like I said, I'll bake it again. The same with the cocktail. I was just thinking, I kind of want to make one of those again too, but I didn't want to wash dishes and stuff again. That was another downside, is that this made a whole lot of dishes, and I hate doing dishes. My dishwasher is slap full of shit. So, but yeah. The book itself, recommend it. Retails for about $30. Get it if you like cooking. Well, thank y'all for watching me attempt to cook badly. It ended up okay. I just don't cook well on camera. Thank y'all for watching the LP. I will see y'all next time. Bye, folks.